This week we'll look at obtaining technology externally. Last week we looked at internal planning, implementation, and evaluation and control for innovation. This week we turn our eye to acquisitions, alliances, and the like. Again, there are 3 chapters, each focusing on one of the crucial areas: planning, implementation, or evaluation. In the first chapter, we'll look at alliances. What's a strategic alliance, formal versus informal alliances, subcontracting out of activities, duration, concerns, mergers and acquisitions, and the rationale and toward the planning of such acquisitions. My daughter works as an IT recruiter, and she spends a lot of her time identifying subcontractors, people who go in for a short period of time to implement something. More and more, that's a popular thing. Now, if you're a cynic, you could say it's because people don't want to pay for benefits and long-term commitments like retirement. But there are times when you just need to bring someone in to do a project, whether it's install technology, do the then leave, and then do the training, and then leave, and then come in and do some assessment or evaluation. So there are reasons for it, but again, if you follow the steps that we talked about in terms of internal evaluation, in the planning stage, what are your goals? What is the due diligence that is necessary to identify all of the aspects of acquiring a firm or technology? What mistakes should you avoid? There are some good guidelines that you can look at in terms of whether there are compatible goals for an alliance between 2 firms to succeed, whether there are, whether it's easier just to do it within. That whole planning thing really is key. Moving into the implementation stage, again, what are the relevant issues that are central? What are the potential pitfalls? Is there a clear vision and understanding? That is so key. Chapter 6 talks about how a lot of efforts to obtain technology externally do not reach the stated goals. It's like a marriage. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Any kind of relationship. What are the what synergy is there? What synergy is not there? What's the initial questions in terms of the implementation? What should we be doing? What are the requirements? Who do you delegate to? How do you integrate? When you look at Cisco systems and how successful they've been successful because they do strong due diligence before an acquisition. They have a buddy system. This is in the chapter, to match key employees from both firms. They customize each integration. One size does not fit all. That's a key. And time. They do a 90-day timeline to integrate acquired firms into Cisco. That's really key. Leadership role. It's very, very important that as a leader, the person takes on the integration of policies and procedures. How can you learn from each other? How can you meet performance goals? How can you build trust? There's always that fear that if there's an acquisition, someone's going to lose the job. What do you do in terms of developing strategies for critical activities? 50% of the problem is sometimes people and relationship problems. We talked about communication before. Communication is so key. Taking time to establish and communicate the vision of change, okay, to meet the and evaluate executives to execute a plan that is effective and aligns with the mission of the companies. For leadership in the implementation stage, when we talk about strategic management, this is so key. How do you execute and align integration of partnering firms? How do you do that vision? How do you find the right partner? How do you recognize the need? How do you create incentives? And how, in the end, are you flexible in terms of achieving your goals? That moves into Chapter 8, Evaluation and Control. As you're moving through the process, all along, you need to look at evaluation and control not as an isolated activity, but as something that needs to be occurring throughout the organization on an ongoing basis. Where does it take place? There are 5 different places. At the organizational capabilities, negotiating the deal, integrating, ongoing, what are the metrics involved? Callahan and McKinsey talk about partner motives, partner capabilities, partner resources, development processes, organizational cultures. Those all need to be looked at as you go through any kind of a merger or acquisition. How do you understand that there probably will be a drop in productivity as energy and resources are combined? How do you deal with that feeling of loss that some employees may have when the company is now, consumed by another one? How do you avoid having the conqueror outcome? How do you try to display the best of both and be sure that subtle aspects are not overlooked? Don't assume that everyone understands the strategic value of obtaining this external technology. This is a test of leadership. It really is. So, as a manager looking strategically at technology, it's key to employ the same 3 stages: planning, implementation, and evaluation and control. But really, in terms of external relations, external acquisitions, how do you blend this family? How do you take these 2 companies and bring them together? Or are you just purchasing technology? You're not acquiring the company, you're just buying the software, you're getting the patent or the rights to it, and bringing it in and not worrying about, where the pieces fall on the other side. Those are all key. So this week, again, look at the chapters, look at the PowerPoints. This was really just a very, very, superficial discussion. I'll look for your reflective response to the NanoLabs article. I think that's kind of interesting and applicable this week. Again, in discussions, see if you can find an article or website that focuses on evaluation and control of externally obtained technology, technology-based acquisitions and mergers. And then in the action paper, you're going to take a quick look at your own organization, and if you were to acquire new technology by buying a smaller entrepreneurial firm, what actions would you suggest in each of the 4 phases to ensure that your firm gets the synergies that they hope for? So this is putting you in the position of the strategic manager. I've got a company, I'm buying technology. What are you going to look at? That's the heart of your action paper this week. And that's really kind of the basis for the assessment of this week. Again, as always, questions, comments, concerns, shoot me an email. And I look forward to seeing how you continue to develop your strategic management vision for technology. Have a good week.